session is entitled Developing Black Women Leaders, the Story of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Now, I'm the anti-racism lead and the committee chair for NGO CSW 65 and the global coordinator for Civil Society Advisory Group to GEF for UN Women. Very long name, but in short, I work on gender equality issues. And I'm also a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Global Impact co-chair for the Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated based in New York City. And I wanted to bring these two worlds together because they're related. We are talking about developing Black women leaders, and here's an organization that's done it for over 100 years and done it very well. What lessons can be learned, what can be extrapolated, and what can be contextualized for your own international development work? So in this session, you will learn a little bit about the history of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the ethos of the organization, how we develop Black women leaders, and perhaps as you hear some of these stories and some of these anecdotes and some of these tenets, you can start to think about how some, maybe not all, but how some of these lessons might be applied to your own gender equality and leadership work. So a little about NGO-CSW for those of you who don't know who we are. NGO-CSW facilitates a platform for the voices and leadership of feminist and women's rights organizations globally who lobby for their inclusion in UN deliberations in pursuit of gender equality. And so with that, I would like to, our opening statement actually is from Congressman Greg Meeks. He is the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee of the United States House of Representatives, and he has taped a video message for us. After the video message, I'll tell you a little bit more about Alpha Kappa Alpha, introduce our esteemed panelists, and I am so thrilled that they are here, and we will discuss what we do well and what you can use in your organizations that can advance the cause of gender equality, not just for Black women, but women worldwide. So with that, Devin, would you be kind enough to cue the video, please, of Congressman Meeks? Devin, we're not hearing any sound. Maybe you might have to click something. Okay, while we do that, actually, in the meantime, is Huri here, the convener for NGO CSW? I believe that Huri Gudulekian, our convener, is here.
Yep.
Huri,
yes.
The floor is yours. Please give us a welcome address. Thank you.
Wow, Trisha, what an honor. I really didn't expect to speak here, but I'm so grateful for having the opportunity to say how honored, grateful, and excited I am that we are integrating this whole anti-racism partner page into our global forum. And it was one of those conversations when I first met Trisha that it was just like, we didn't even finish sentences and we knew we had to do this. So thank you, Trisha, for being who you are, for bringing on your energy, your talent, your community, and for taking this on. I mean, it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work, so I'm grateful for that. Yes, I am the chair of NGO CSW and the convener of Civil Society Advisory Group, which is how I met Trisha for Generation Equality Forum. First of all, how amazing that today Kamala Harris spoke at UN. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's on Web TV. She was the first vice president, of course, first women vice president, that she spoke during CSW 65. I was literally jumping up and down in my seat when I was listening to her. And of course, her statement was powerful. And just a little anecdote, the chair of CSW is Armenian, so am I. So it was like this double, joy moment for me saying, oh, the Armenian ambassador is introducing Kamala Harris, whom I love. So I'm going to calm down now and I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to hear you all. I can't wait to learn from all of you. There's so much to be shared and uplift each other. One of the things I've said from day one in my role is that I'm looking forward to a world that we come from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, so that we are not hogging, we are sharing. And in that same model, I'm trying to lead this organization in a shared modelship, in a shared model leadership. And I'm grateful for my executive committee. I see so many of them here who are helping me do that. So please join us at NGO CSW anytime. Nukasa Sukasa. My place is your place. So let's go on to the video. Trisha, I hope I didn't embarrass you. I'm just very excited.
We're all among friends here. Devin, were you able to pull up the video? If not, we can just move on and then do the video maybe towards the end.
Yes, I have it set
Okay.
up. Let's do this.
Let's try it again.
All right.
Hello, I'm Congressman Gregory Meeks, and I'm the chair of the United States House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome to the 65th NGO CSW Conference. NGO CSW New York facilitates a platform for the voices and leadership of feminists and women rights organizations globally who lobby for their inclusion in the UN deliberations and pursuit of gender equality. There are over 10,000 activists registered. This promises to be a real happening. This year, in response, recognition, and honor of the activists on the ground, for the very first time in the NGO's CSW's 65 conferences history, there is programming dedicated to and focused on anti-racism, led by Dr. Tricia Callender, the Anti-Racism Committee Chair, and I'm pleased to support this effort. As we saw in 2020, the ravages of racism were on full display, most notably with the vicious killing of George Floyd. Moreover, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disproportionately affected Black and brown people, particularly in the United States, has starkly revealed what activists have been saying for years, that racial inequality is woven through every aspect of life and threatens all of us. Something must be done. Despite these challenges, there have been triumphs worth noting and learning from. There have been organizations and interventions that, despite the enormous racial challenges and obstacles, have succeeded in developing Black leaders, including women Black leaders for over 100 years. One example are the 9 Black sororities and fraternities known affectionately as the Divine Nine, or D9, which not only developed leaders during college, but throughout a member's lifetime. It is a lifelong learning and development structure that is relevant for every stage of a member's life. I am very proud to say that I am a member of a Divine Nine organization. I'm a proud and active member of the first Black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, founded in 1906 in the campus of Cornell University in the United States of America. The first Black sorority, which you will learn more about in this session, is Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, founded in 1908 on the campus of Howard University, a historically Black university in the United States. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated boasts over 300,000 members in over 50 countries. Members include the former president of Liberia, Dr. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, famed writer Toni Morrison, and the current Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala D. Harris, along with countless other politicians, teachers, doctors, and leaders in their community. You will learn why Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has been successful, and what can be learned from the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, their method of developing leaders, that you can use for your international advocacy and organizations. And I'm delighted not only to see this happen, but to have the opportunity to introduce such an important and long overdue session. I'd like to thank Dr. Tricia Callender, the Global Coordinator for the Civil Society Advisory Group to the UN Women GEF, the leader of the anti-racism strand of NGO CSW's 65, and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She's for bringing this to the international stage. And I'd also like to acknowledge my friend, Ajwa Giffer, Anti-Racism Committee member, for dedicating themselves to this work. Now, more than ever, we need to develop leaders, especially women leaders and leaders of color. And it is our hope that this session can provide some information and tools as to how it can be done, even in the most challenging of circumstances. I hope you will enjoy this session, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Devin. Thank you for cueing that. And with that, let us move to our conversation. I think Congressman Meeks has really spoken very eloquently about our beloved organization. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority had its humble beginnings as a vision of 9 college students on the campus of Howard University in 1908. Since then, the sorority has flourished into a globally impactful organization of nearly 300,000 trained members, bound by the bonds of sisterhood and empowered by a commitment to servant leadership that is both domestic and international in scope. As Alpha Kappa Alpha has grown, it has maintained its focus in 2 key areas: the lifelong personal and professional development of each of its members, and galvanizing its membership into an organization of respected power and influence, consistently at the forefront of effective advocacy and social change that results in equality and equity for all citizens of the world. So with that said, no further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panelist. If you could just wave once I give your brief introduction. Our first panelist is Ms. Carol Dixon, served as the 25th Far Western Regional Director of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated from 2016 to 2020. She is a highly respected human resources executive and is Chief People Officer for Overland Tandberg, a data storage technology company in Silicon Valley. Ms. Dixon has won numerous awards for her outstanding leadership and community service. She is committed to making a difference and is a true servant leader. You could give a wave, Ms. Dixon. Mary Bentley Lamar is the 34th North Atlantic Regional Director for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, presiding over 14,500 members from Washington, D.C. to Maine. Mrs. Lamar is the founder and executive director of the Sickle Cell Association of New Jersey, an agency that assists individuals who have sickle cell disease with their non-medical needs. She is married to Dr. Ainsley Lamar, and they are the proud parents of Hunter Lamar. Please welcome Mrs. Mary Bentley Lamar. Ms. Joy Elaine Daly is a retired administrative educator from the New York City Department of Education. She is a 36-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She served 4 years as the North Atlantic Regional Director and is currently the International Regional Director, supervising all chapters outside of the continental United States, such as in Japan, Dubai, Liberia, South Africa, Germany, and the Caribbean. Please welcome Ms. Daly. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Michelle B. Hardy serves as the president of Tau Omega chapter in Harlem, New York of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She has a special interest in addressing healthcare disparities and barriers to care in the African American community. She received her BA in Economics and African American History from Wellesley College and a Master in Public Health from Columbia University, Mailman School of Public Health. She is a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and was initiated in the Lambda Upsilon chapter in 1979. Please welcome Ms. Michelle Harvey. And so now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get into the conversation. And I think I'll start with you, Ms. Lamar. Historically, and in your opinion, what has been the legacy of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, specifically in developing leaders?
Well, thank you. Thank you for that question. And it's good to see everyone. I want to say that historically, our legacy, you've heard the phrase, follow the leader, follow the leader. Well, we have had a historically rich heritage of excellent leadership in Alpha Kappa Alpha, starting with Ethel Hedgeman Lyle, who founded the organization back in 1908. So she set the example because Alpha Kappa Alpha was founded on sisterhood, service, and scholarship to uplift each other and to address the social ills of the community. So with that being said, we have that example to follow in terms of how we develop ourselves, how we address problems in the community. And we are the first African-American sorority, a sorority founded by African-American women, as has been mentioned before. Something else some people may not know is that Alpha Kappa Alpha was a charter member of the Divine Nine. At that time, National Pan-Hellenic Council back in 1930 started with Alpha Kappa Alpha and other sororities, and then the fraternities joined on. But a lot of individuals don't know that. So again, it's like follow the leader. There's a precedent of being the first, of stepping out and making a difference. Some of the things that we do, and I know some of the things that we do on an international level, we have conferences, we have workshops, webinars, seminars, opportunities for individuals to learn professionally, to learn operationally how we operate as an organization so that we can do better, and also to learn how we can be more effective in our community service programs, that we do. Leaders develop even on the undergraduate level because we start off, many of our members start off as undergraduates. We have board positions in Alpha Kappa Alpha for undergraduate members. Our second vice president is an undergraduate, as well as 2 members at large on the international board of directors. So these are just some of the ways that we develop leaders, and then we help each other. We have a model that we help each other, we support each other, encourage each other, network with each other, just like we're doing here tonight.
I'm only at
and
1%,
just pooling our
maybe that's why.
resources. And just pooling our resources to share whatever words of wisdom we may have for you.
Thank you, Ms. Lamar. Thank you. Would anybody else like to weigh in on that? That you gave us quite a lot to chew, and I'd like to give the other panelists the opportunity to either add, support, or flesh something out. So I can start with Ms. Daly, perhaps?
Yes, I would like to add that within Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have a built-in mechanism where we really hone in on leadership skills and development. Every other year, the organization has a major conference, which is called Leadership Seminar. And that's a conference where a myriad of workshops are given and training to help members develop their leadership skills. And that is across the board for both undergraduates and graduates. And then we have another program tailored every year just towards undergraduates, and that is called Leadership Fellows. So Leadership Fellows program focus on developing our undergraduates, our college young people, so that they can hone their leadership skills and become better leaders in the community. So leadership development is an integral part of who we are. And then trickling down to the regions, every region, we have 10 regions in Alpha Kappa Alpha, and every region has a leadership development component where we have our own leadership seminars and workshops, and then chapters are mandated to have leadership development programs. So chapters have to develop a leadership development program where they train and hone the skills of their leaders. So it's no accident that we see Alpha Kappa Alpha women excelling in leadership role, because from the inception of Alpha Kappa Alpha, we have been taught to be leaders. We've been taught to be leaders, and we've been taught to reach back and pull up another member. We help each other because we know there's no other like Alpha Kappa Alpha. So when Dr. Callender reached out to me, I knew there was no way I could say no to her, because that's who we are. We always rise to the occasion when a member calls.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. Ms. Dixon, would you like to add anything? What has been spoken to now is really what it is a scaffolding model. At every point of entry, there is an opportunity to become a leader. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of the organization. Would you like to speak to that, Ms. Dixon, please?
Yeah, I'll just say thank you for that my colleagues have said it best. I think what Alpha Kappa Alpha is there is a member in our organization, regardless of what you want to do in life, there's someone out there who is willing and able to mentor you, that you can call on, that you can network with, because we have it within an organization of 300,000 powerful women. The other thing that we focus on, leadership is really big. We have a guidebook and a resource guide for just about everything. So if it's not in a workshop, at our leadership seminar, you can always purchase a guidebook, a resource book that will help you in any subject matter, which will increase your leadership skills. It's in the DNA of an AKA, and when we select women to become members of this organization, we always know they have that something about them, that leadership DNA that we can see, which would make them a good member of Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Hardy, can you speak to this, perhaps, what we've just outlined here, at the chapter level, at a more hyper-local level, how leaders are developed?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tricia. So I am a president of a chapter, so on the local level, and I'm really honored to be on this esteemed panel with all my regional directors. But on a local level, I report directly to Mary Bentley Lamar. And I like to say the whole name, it just has that appeal to it. And Mary makes certain that she connects with all her presidents in the region. So an example of that was during the pandemic. This was an unprecedented public health crisis. And as president, I had to rely on my regional director for direction. And that's what she gave us. Together, we were able to figure this thing out. And tonight, she said one thing that resonated throughout this entire experience, that AKAs are resilient and we rise to the occasion and we're unstoppable. And so the regional directors we rely on for their leadership, their direction, not only in unprecedented times, but throughout our planning and execution of our programs. And so we meet regularly with our regional director, and that's where we can bring our questions back from our chapter on the local level. So we're not left alone, we have direction.
And may I add too, and just piggybacking off of what Michelle said, as a regional director, we serve the organization, and this is under the vision of our international president. So we are all implementing the program targets of Glenda Baskin Glover, our international president, and then we implement that through the regions, the 10 regions that Joy had mentioned, and then it's implemented on a local level in the chapters. So, but it's all to support the programs and services as envisioned by our international president. And they all are focused on service to the community and also connection in terms of being active from a social justice standpoint, or supporting or encouraging individuals to make a difference in elected offices.
I think we're going to move on to the next question. And I see lots of questions popping up in the chat. Please know that we definitely have a question and answer session. So you'll have the opportunity to ask questions if they're not answered throughout the course of this discussion. So I'd like to pivot just a little and talk about, there's been lots of leadership programs all over the world, and not many have lasted as long as this organization. Why do you think the organization has survived as long as it has? What is the differentiating characteristic? What does Alpha Kappa Alpha do particularly well that can be emulated and adapted, specifically in international development and gender equality? There's no wrong answer here. We're just brainstorming. So I think we will start with, I'm going to try to be fair. I'm going to start with Ms. Dixon.
Great. So before I answer that question, let me just say thank you to Dr. Tricia Callender for allowing me to be on this esteemed panel. I have been a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for 41 years. I know you're all looking at me saying, how is that possible? But I always tell, when I was the regional director, I used to say I was the first 2-year-old member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, but it has been actually a 41-year journey. And so when you think about, how has Alpha Kappa Alpha survived this long? I mean, you have to take your mind back to the year 1908. Think about that. 1908, that was a time when African Americans were subjected to just horrible, deplorable social, political, and economic conditions. And women, as you know, were second-class citizens. And so our founders on the campus of Howard University came together to say, we can do better. We have to work together to provide solutions to help Black people have a better life. And so those women in 1908, they were leaders in their own right. And today, here we are, 113 years later, we are still at the forefront of developing women leaders, leaders from generation to generation to generation. And what have we done? What have we done? We're visionary, we're determined, we're risk takers. They were resilient, they persevered. You had to be committed to wanting to make a change when this organization started. Black women, leaders, pioneers leading the way, understanding that life happens, but it's our responsibility to make changes for a better life. For women, girls, it is our responsibility. Leadership comes, it's a lifetime of different experiences. So when you think about this organization, what can be adapted? I mean, this organization, Alpha Kappa Alpha, is international. This organization is international. There are women all on this Zoom today from all across the world. What do we have in common? We understand that there's a vision to make a change in the world. We all want to work together as leaders to make women, because who really rules the world, as Beyonce says? Girls, girls, girls rule the world. And so am I right about it? Girls, girls, girls they rule the world. And so now that we have a vice president, a woman vice president in the White House, we know things are only going to get better. And so how do we do this year after year? How can you do it year after year? Okay, you have to recognize the potential of your members. You have to give them opportunities to be leaders. You have to empower them to make the decisions when they're working on activities or doing things for their communities. You have to provide them with mentors. You have to build a network. So I would challenge each of you that are on here today, get to know someone through the chat that's on this Zoom and begin to build that network. That's how you build your leadership skills. It's about being accountable for what you know that you can do. And it allows for you to be your authentic self and create a safe space so that you can make a difference in the community that we serve. But 113 years, I mean, I think there are very few companies. I think John Deere is one of them. General Electric. I mean, you could Google. There's very few organizations that have survived. But to survive that long, it takes a commitment. And each and every time someone becomes a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, they have to make a commitment. As you heard the congressman say, it is for lifelong membership.
Wow. Who wants to follow that up?
I'll just add too, I think, and I agree, of course, with everything that Carol has said. And I think a key component also to our survival as an organization is that we have stayed true to our values. When you have a mission and a purpose, you have to stay true to that. And there will be challenges along the way that will shake you at your foundation. But if you stay true to your purpose, and as long as that purpose is noble and good, then you will be in the right space. Because I think back to, what was it, 1913, when Alpha Kappa Alpha was challenged because there was a group that didn't agree with the colors, didn't agree with the purpose, didn't agree with a lot of things. And that was a challenging time, but Alpha Kappa Alpha stayed true to its mission and its purpose and survived even until today and beyond. So I would just add to remind you, stay true to your reason for being, stay true to your purpose.
Thank you. Would anybody like to add to that?
Well, the only thing I would say is from the beginning, once you've agreed to be a part of this organization, you are taught the importance of support for each other, the importance of support for each other. So it doesn't matter what happens. Folks may look on and say, does everybody agree? As Mary just says, we do have misunderstandings, we do have disagreements, but it is not of such magnitude that you're going to walk away and not see the greater good of the organization. You always look at the greater good of the organization and what is it that you pledge to do. Each of us who is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha pledge to perform service for the betterment of mankind. Perform service for the betterment of mankind. And so holding true to that credo keeps us together. It's the glue. It's the glue that keeps us together, because we're constantly looking at ways in which we can contribute to the community to make life better for someone else. And that's the difference with Alpha Kappa Alpha that keeps us together. You know, other organizations, other sororities end at the college level. We go on forever because we believe in what was started in 1908, service, sisterhood, and scholarship. And so most of the programs that we do focus on youth and providing scholarship, providing a better way for them. And so I am just thrilled to be a part of this organization and to know that I have gotten as far as I have gotten because someone helped me. So if I can reach back and help somebody, then that's all I'm going to do. If I can help somebody, my living will not be in vain.
Thank you.
And Trisha, let me just say one other thing, because Joy Lane just prompted something in my mind. You know, and we hear about this all the time, and everyone on this Zoom today is a leader. But it is our responsibility, as Joy Lane said, we have to open up the doors of opportunity.
I wanted to say the jet report.
Yes. Well,
For to mute. Thank you. Sorry about that, Ms. Dixon. Go ahead.
Okay, we have to open up the doors for opportunity. We can't compete against each other. We have to work with each other. And so, you know, sitting in an executive suite in the role that I am today, I know that I have a responsibility in my profession to pull someone along. And that's whether, you know, you're at Alpha Kappa Alpha, Commission of Status of Women, whatever organization that you're in, it's your responsibility to pull another woman along the way with you so that she too can also be a leader.
Mhm. Thank you. Ms. Hardy, would you like to weigh in on that? Just so we have all four and we're fair.
Certainly, it has all been said, but the only thing I would say, and it's my own private secret, that the greater reward in my service is to me, because I remember being a young college woman thinking, what is my purpose in life? Alpha Kappa Alpha showed me my purpose through service. And what greater place to do it than where I grew up as a little girl in the Harlem community. So what keeps me going is knowing that there's someone that might need a mammogram, and we have the mobile unit to offer that to that woman. There's someone out there may be a young high school student that's been told they're not college material, but we have the CAP program to show them and talk to them about the college application process. There may be someone globally in Haiti, for example, children in need of shirts and dresses, and we have the pillowcase dress program. So knowing that I'm meeting a need of the people that I serve, and where else but in my community, Harlem, and across the world. So Madam Joy, she is our international regional director, and there's so many needs across the world and across the nation. So that's what keeps me going and our members, that commitment to serving our community where there are so many needs that need to be met.
I know I'm supposed to be a moderator and not a panelist, but one thing, but I'm going to jump in here because there's one thing, all of this that you've said resonates so viscerally with me, but the idea of community in Alpha Kappa Alpha, and I think this is something that everybody can do in and outside the organization, is a global one. There's your chapter, there's your cluster, there's your region, there's international. I mean, we are not limited by the idea of community being a 10-block radius. And that was something that was very unusual for Black women, particularly in 1908, first generation out of slavery in the United States. They had a vision that this would be international. And I think really what it boils down to is the bond of the shared experience across the world. And I think that's something that we in Asia, based everywhere. I think that's something that the organization does particularly well. I promise I will not intervene again. Maybe not. Okay.
You can chime in anytime.
Thank you, Ms. Lamar. Okay, so speaking of international presence, we've already established Alpha Kappa Alpha as a significant international presence. Have leadership initiatives been tailored to meet different contexts? And if you could tell the UN and international community one thing, what would that be? What are they not focusing on that they should? So that's a two-part question. And I think I will start with the International Regional Director, Ms. Joy Lane Daly. The floor is yours.
All right, Madam Moderator, allow me a point of personal privilege. I have an interest group in Lagos, Nigeria, and I see one of the members on this call here, Bumi Olosunde. Bumi, how are you? Good to see you representing. Happy to see you. Having said that, thank you ever so much, Dr. Callender, for having me on this panel. And Alpha Kappa Alpha has a global presence in Liberia, South Africa, specifically Johannesburg, Germany, Korea, Japan, Canada, Bermuda, UAE, the Bahamas, and the Virgin Islands. And what is good about having Alpha Kappa Alpha in those countries, each chapter has an opportunity to tailor programs to suit the needs of their particular community based on the program targets of our international president, Dr. Glenda Glover. So we have 5 target areas that we are mandated to provide services in, one of which is the global impact. And so under that banner, the chapters in the international region are allowed to perform a myriad of programs. For example, in Okinawa, Japan, they see the need as mental health focus, as well as scholarships to youth to go to college. And they provide scholarships, they provide tutorial services, they provide programs for caregivers. In Johannesburg, there's a need to wipe out childhood hunger. And so the chapter in Johannesburg is heavily engaged in community gardening, specifically vegetables. So you will see members leading the charge in planting community garden. There's also a need for running water, so they partner with other organizations to provide wells for these communities. And they focus on scholarship and education as well, because they know that a good education is a good passport to a better way of life. In Canada, that particular chapter focuses on grant writing and partnership with civic organizations to help girls maintain their schooling and provide scholarships for them. In the Bahamas, they also focus heavily on education, and each year they invite a number of college presidents from the United States to a college fair that they have. Last year, they were able to garner over $1 million in scholarship for young people on the island of the Bahamas. And may I say, the Bahamas has over 600 islands, 300 of which are inhabited. And so it's not just Bahamas, not just Nassau or Freeport. There are other islands, Eleuthera and others, that they provide the scholarships to as well. And then in the Virgin Islands, they focus heavily on homelessness, senior residents, and orphanage. And so they provide services to help those individuals who are in those particular groups to raise themselves out of poverty and to do better. What I would say for the UN in terms of what can you do better, I would say to partner with like-minded organizations, because the UN has a broader scope than we have. And we sometimes tend to be more in the metropolitan areas unless the country you're in is rural. But the UN has a broader reach. And I would say to focus, to partner with like-minded organizations to broaden your scope of service when it comes to education. Because we know that gender inequality is real. Gender inequality is very, very real. And we know that if we can educate our women and girls and provide them with a way out of poverty, which is education, their lives would be better, their families' lives would be better, and their communities would be better. So I would say partner with like-minded organizations to help these individuals who are in need.
Thank you. Thank you. I will move now to Ms. Hardy. Would you like to add something here in terms of what could the UN do better, or where could the UN amplify the work that's already being done by organizations like Alpha Kappa Alpha?
Well, I think today is a start to have the discussion with the desire to learn more about what we do and how we do it for over 100 years. And we've lasted that long. So I think today is a start by seeking an understanding of who we are. It's amazing to me. I always thought everyone knew about Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. But of course, there are some who don't know, and all the amazing work that we do. On a local level in my chapter, we have so many great leaders that take on the charge of, for example, we call it Target 5, our global impact target. And they understand the importance of the work that we do. I mentioned the pillowcase dresses and how much that means to those that receive those dresses when we, sew by hand. So pillowcase dresses are actually, we call it that because it's actually dresses and shirts for boys made by hand or by sewing machine. And the importance that that has for those people who are in need of, those children who are in need of a shirt or a simple dress to wear. So I think that what we're doing today, taking the time through the UN and through you, Tricia, and thank you for having the brainchild to do this, to give us the opportunity to have a platform to share the important work that we do, that's a start with the UN. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Lamar, you are on mute.
I think it has all been said.
Okay, okay. Ms. Dixon, would you like to add anything before we move on to the next question?
Yeah, I'll just say, collaboration, absolutely. Partnership is important, but what's more important than that? Let's not talk the talk. Let's do the work.
Yeah.
Okay, because that at the end of the day is all that matters. You have to do the work, and as Joey Lane so eloquently stated, you have to know the needs of your community. She outlined very clearly, each community in different parts around the world, they're putting programs in place for that particular community. So you have to know, as they say, know your audience, know your community, and don't talk the talk, just do the work.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, I lied and I said I wouldn't intervene. So I apologize, but I will have to weigh in on this because at one point in my life and career, I lived in South Africa. I lived there for 5 years. And I got a phone call from my cousin one day, and he said, "Your mother is really sick. You need to come home." And it just really came out of nowhere. And I won't go into the grisly details. My mom is fine now, but it was members of the Johannesburg chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha that helped me get my dry cleaning, helped me get boxes to pack my stuff, helped me just in terms of, let me just sit on the couch and watch you freak out, all of those. So there's also a personal aspect to this as well. Yes, it's about the work, but through that work, and they extend that to everybody. You don't have to be a member. I mean, the idea is that you nurture community, and in so doing, you are lifted up as a leader. And I don't know how I would have gotten through that 48 hours before I got on the plane without them. Honestly, I really don't. And so those are the kinds of stories and things that keep people in the organization, because the work is fantastic, but then there's also this aspect of when I feel like my whole world is falling apart. I don't know this woman, but she's wearing pink and green. We have something in common, right? Whoever it is. And I know I could lean on that person. So I just thought I would add that as well. That has nothing to do with the UN, but it is a piece that I think is very important about understanding who we are as an organization. And to that end, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to say something about that. It does, because working with each other, it brings about such deep-seated friendships.
Yeah.
Such deep-seated friendships. And Mary, you need to come back on the screen while I talk about you. I'll just give my own little personal thing. When I ran for North Atlantic Regional Director, Mary Bentley Lamar did not support me. She voted against me, but I won. So it didn't matter because I got what I wanted. I won, and I won by only 5 votes. And I remember when the votes were announced, Mary and Rochelle Archulus came over to where I was, and the crowd gathered around congratulating. And she and Rochelle serenaded me. They sang a little song and they said, "Welcome, we are here to work with you." I never forgot that. I never, ever forgot that. And today I can say, Mary is one of my best friends in Alpha Kappa Alpha. The kids talk about besties. She's my besties. She's my besties. I had surgery. Mary left her house and her husband and child and came and spent a week with me. in my house to take care of me. I didn't ask. She said, I'm coming. And she came. So we built some deep-seated concrete friendships along the way. And I think that is also part of the glue that keeps us together until death us do part. We're not leaving Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Right.
You know, and I'll just say that just, you know, hearts that are loyal and hearts that are true.
Oh,
And
true.
there's nothing like the sisterhood of Alpha Kappa Alpha. That is a brilliant example, Mary and Joy, of what Alpha Kappa Alpha is all about.
Yes.
And I'll just chime in here too. That is multiplied many times throughout this organization. We have 300,000 members, and you'll find little stories similar
Oh,
throughout,
yes.
because we are an organization that's about business and about community service and scholarship, but it's all based on sisterhood. And
Yes.
sister, that's a family. Hood is a neighborhood or an area. So a neighborhood of sisters, and you have Alpha Kappa Alpha sisterhood.
And I'm over here in the amen corner saying amen.
Yes, we
Amen.
support each
Well,
other. We
that's
support.
We have a sisterly relations program, and we work hard, but we have fun together too. So we plan activities, because after all that service is done and we've done the work, we need time to cultivate and nurture each other. So we plan activities where we can bond and have fun with each other. Like Soar Joy described, we know each other's families, we have birthdays together, baby showers. So it's a true, sometimes I would call it extended family. And that's the experience that I've had in Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
And maybe that is part of the reason for the longevity of the organization, because there's always this bifurcation between sisterhood and then the real work of gender equality. This is how it's kind of framed in the international development community. We're being very serious, but women don't really operate like that. There needs to be a bond. And maybe that is probably, that may be something that we can take away from this and I think this NGO CSW 65 is distinctly different in that respect, because there's lots of opportunities for people to connect, not just on policy, but there was a yoga and meditation today that, you know, instead of just a bunch of speeches, we're having fiestas and all kinds of parties to celebrate different regions and consultations and conversations. And so it's not quite exactly the same, but to Miss Daly's point, it does foster some bonding, some sisterhood, and perhaps maybe that could galvanize and motivate the work even further. I'm going to speed along because I don't know, I feel like I've been sitting here for 5 minutes, but we've almost been here an hour. And so I'm going to move to the next question, and I will start with Ms. Hardy. How has AKA developed you as a leader, and moreover, how have you passed that on? So really what I'm talking about here is succession planning, intergenerational.
Right. So thank you for that question. And well, I'm gonna start. You know, we all have a journey. I know we only have a few minutes, but if you let me just share some of my story. So as a young girl, I went to a public school in Harlem, and my 6th grade teacher was Ruth Whaley Spearman. I admired Mrs. Spearman, and she just had a style about her. And she always wore her hair just so, but more importantly, she set a fire inside of me about pursuing education and, you know, being excited about reading and broadening your vocabulary and taking on a challenging math problem. So she made learning exciting. So fast forward, you know, I went off to college. I became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha in Massachusetts. And then I'm gonna share this about my story. I was away from AKA for a while, but it was a soror, we help each other, that years later said, no, this is not gonna keep going on like this. You gotta come back into the sisterhood. And I made it home to Tau Omega. I'm a proud member of Tau Omega chapter in Harlem, New York. And there I found leaders that developed me. They gave me increasing responsibility. At first, I just kind of sat in the back of the room, kind of shy. I wasn't sure of, all the rules and protocol, and I just kind of observed, but they pulled me in slowly and gave me increasing responsibility. So reading our chapter history book, I found out that Ruth Spearman, my 6th grade teacher, was the 27th president of Tau Omega chapter.
Wow.
And here I am today. It still amazes me that I'm president, but I am. But here I am, the 37th president of Tau Omega chapter. So Ruth certainly played a critical part in my development as a leader. And here's what AKA did for me. They gave me the opportunity to be graduate advisor. So that's how I paid it back and paid it forward to those young women that were looking for guidance. So I should explain probably the role of graduate advisor, where we have an office where you're elected to that office and you work with the young women on the college's campuses in your local area. And you're there to guide them, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to influence and to bring some positivity and meaning to what they're doing. And more importantly, to remind them that it is a lifelong commitment. And so unlike myself, when I left college, I didn't have that understanding. So that's my only regret, that I let so many years pass, but I have made up for that time. So that's how I would say I give it back. I give it back through working with our younger members, making certain that they transition from when they graduate as seniors, that they think right away about coming into the chapter. And as bachelors, I have to think about succession planning and look to see in my membership who's showing signs of certain strengths and who could maybe move into different roles, because we are always looking for strong leaders and committed leaders to do the work. So that's my story. And just let me say this. I have a legacy daughter, and I can't be here today and not mention her. She's part of our chapter. She works with me. She's our epistolist, member, Chelsea. And she's really vital to who I am as president, because she's young, she has the technology, and I call her my junior MB, because she keeps me going forward and engaging with the technology. And it's so important now during a pandemic. In terms of meeting virtually, Zoom calls, understanding how to rename yourself. I was able to do that, Trisha, when you asked me to do that earlier. So that's because of her and her guidance. So I want to thank her for being my legacy and working with me as president of Tau Omega chapter.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Dixon, would you like to weigh in on this one? I'm going to go in the reverse order. How have you developed as a leader in Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and how have you passed that on?
So, I thought about this question, and I had to think back to my undergraduate days when I became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Again, you got to remember I was 2 years old as an undergrad. And so, but when I became a member, just the opportunities that Alpha Kappa Alpha afforded me from the time I was an undergraduate to becoming the Far Western Regional Director. And I think it was really, Alpha Kappa Alpha showed me that I can do it, that I have the skills to be a leader. And so, but as a leader, what I have to carry on is I have to inspire and encourage someone else to show them that they too can be a leader, because the opportunities are there. You have to just want to step out on faith and raise your hand. We know in Alpha Kappa Alpha, especially when it comes time to have elections, no one ever wants to raise their hand to be the president of a chapter. It's always, challenging to fill that role. But the moment you say, I'll do it, then the opportunity, the doors open up to you, because your sisters, they support you, they guide you. And as a leader, you step into that role, and then it's your job to motivate and guide and provide them with guidance to let them know that you are a leader. as I think Michelle said, we work hard and we play hard. But the work is rewarding. The play is even much more rewarding. But the leadership, you know that someone's gonna have your back. As Mary said and Joy said, we don't always get along and we can agree to disagree. But even when we agree to disagree, we have that one vision. We are to be supreme in service to all mankind. And we all march down that path, focused on our targets that were established by our international president, Dr. Glenda Glover. And so leadership, I think I said it earlier, it's in you. You have to just be willing to let it come out. Oh, you will make mistakes, but that's okay, because those mistakes are just an opportunity, a lesson in your life to do something different. As they say, when one door closes, you open another, or better yet, you build your own door and make it happen once you cross that threshold.
Okay, okay. Well, what I'm hearing here before I get to our other two panelists is there is intergenerational succession planning and development built into this model. And this is something that we are just starting to undertake in the Generation Equality Forum to varying effect. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not. And it seems that this has been built into every stage, every geographical piece, every developmental piece, that the idea that the organization will go on longer than you will. And maybe that's something that perhaps we could flesh out a little, Ms. Daly and Ms. Lamar, to help us at the UN and in this international development constellation of actors to do that intergenerational work and development better. So I turn the floor over. I think I'll start with Ms. Lamar and then Ms. Daly.
Certainly. When you talk about intergenerational, it is built into Alpha Kappa Alpha, because when you think about it, most members are initiated as undergraduates. But like we say, Alpha Kappa Alpha is lifelong service. So you graduate, you get into a graduate chapter. Sometimes members are initiated as graduate members, but you may have a 18-year-old working with a 90-year-old, because we have members who have been in 75 years or more. We call them our diamond sorors. And so there is that connection there where you have all ages working on different aspects of whatever our programs are. So that is a joy in terms of service in Alpha Kappa Alpha. And I can say that in terms of developing me as a leader from the time I was an undergraduate to now, like Michelle had said, there are different opportunities for you to serve. And I think the key component that has sustained and that will sustain us is that support. All along the way, there has been support for whatever I have done. Encouragement, uplifting, mentoring, training, support has been there. So that's what I would offer in this case.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Ms. Daly, the floor is yours.
Now, what I would offer, just looking back at my journey from undergraduate to now, from the day I was initiated, I remained active and involved. And one of the things that I noticed that my regional directors back then did was to have an undergraduate on each committee that a graduate chaired. And back then, I didn't quite understand it when I first saw it, but now it makes a whole lot of sense. And this current president, Dr. Glover, she has about 40, 45 different committees, and every committee has at least one undergraduate on that committee. And that is because you're training, you're reaching back and bringing along a younger member, training that younger member so they can step into that role should the opportunity arise. And so I'd say for the UN, in whatever you do, reach back and make sure you have some younger folks on your team. Train them, show them the way. And I would say to the young people, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. As an educator, I had the patience of Job with every little bad kid. Every little kid that they call bad, I had the patience of Job with them. You know why? I always say to the teachers, it's a child's job to give trouble. That's how they learn. They're going to do silly things. They're going to make mistakes. And it's your job as an adult to tell them that what they've done is not acceptable and show them the acceptable way. And that's how I look at it in Alpha Kappa Alpha. And as regional director, I tell my Basileem or presidents, my presidents the same thing. I said, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just do it. If you make a mistake, be honest and tell me the truth. I will go nuts if you lie to me and I find out down the road. So I say, reach back and put some younger people on committees. Give them an opportunity. Sometimes we love to say we want them to have experience. How in the world are they going to get experience if you don't give them a chance to get that experience? You've got to give them a chance. And so I say, give young people a chance, give them a chance and see where they end up. Because you know what? My grandmother used to tell me, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Sometimes we see them giving trouble because they're bored. They're bored. They need something to do. So give them a chance, give them an opportunity and bring them along. And I think if we can do that, this world would be a better place.
Thank you. So just to, yes, go ahead, Ms. Dixon,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
wanted to say, you know, and I think we need to remind ourselves that Alpha Kappa Alpha was founded by undergrads. These were women who were 18, 17 years old. And I mean, and here we are today, 113 years later, founded by undergrad. So young people, it's important to have young people in your life. That's how you stay young, and that's how you know all about all the technology stuff too. they keep you aware of how to do things.
Okay, so what I just, because I'm taking notes because we're going to have to implement this stuff. I mean, me and my work colleagues. So what I'm hearing, 4 things, and I probably haven't captured everything, but to some degree, there needs to be a consistent training, not just one-off. There's always, it's a cycle. You are trained, you get better, and then you go again. You never reach a destination of training. And then there's intergenerational equality. And I think this is what's important because we have a lot of intergenerational dialogue, but then who's actually making the decisions? They bring the young people to the table, aren't they cute? And then they send them off, and then the adults do the work, right? And this is very different in that, to Ms. Lamar's point, you can have a 50-year member of the organization working with somebody who was just initiated last year, and they're both equal as far as the organization is concerned. That, you know, and so there's really egalitarianism, not just built into the work that we do externally, but within our own structures. And I think that's something that maybe we can replicate at the UN level. And then the idea of community, again, is so much wider than just, okay, we're working in gender equality, we're working in New York. I think especially with gender equality, it's so intersectional. There's all these overlying and underlying things that are happening. There's race, there's levels of ability, there's socioeconomic status, there's sexual orientation, there's all sorts of things. You're not just a woman and that's it. There's all these things that layer onto that cake, and that cake is your experience. And so to that end, the idea of community for the UN, and I'm speaking strictly in the international development sphere, there needs to be more of an understanding of intersectionality, I think, and leveraging the learnings of local organizations and organizations like all different types of organizations that are not normally in the sphere that are doing good work. I think the UN needs to open the doors a little bit wider. If not, they're going to find themselves on the other side of the door because the organizations have figured out how to do this well and do it sustainably. So that being said, yes.
Can I add one thing to something you want to consider too, is to honor and recognize outstanding work, because that encourages those who have done the work, and it serves as a model for others who want to emulate that. When I say follow the leader, again, that's an example of great leadership. So you want to recognize, honor, and acknowledge that work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that is true. And very often women do the work and don't get the credit for it. So if given the opportunity, we should certainly celebrate ourselves. I don't know how it's 7:15. I'm really not sure. I feel like I could talk about this all day, but I'm going to pose the last question and ask for a short answer and then open up the floor for questions and comments because we only have about 15 minutes. So we will start with Ms. Daly. And the final question is, what are your hopes for how Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated develops women leaders in the future?
Well, my hope is that Alpha Kappa Alpha will proliferate the world. Will proliferate the world because we have something good going on. And so I would say to continue with our leadership seminar that is held every other year, continue with our Leadership Fellows program, and try to replicate it with other groups, partner with other groups to replicate it so that the word can spread far and wide, that others can benefit from what we have been enjoying. Right. And that's the short answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Ms. Dixon and then followed by Ms. Hardy.
And Miss Joy Lane Daly stole my answer.
Because we're AKAs.
Because we're AKAs, because I was gonna say almost the same thing, that I think organizations such as, the UN can look at Alpha Kappa Alpha and model the behaviors and partner with our organization, because we've been doing it for so long, and we're willing to help others. And we always want to raise the level of women. We always want to fight for gender equality. And so I think how we continue to do that is really have organizations model what we've been doing for 113 years and help them to be successful so they can build their women leaders as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hardy, and then the final word will be Ms. Lamar.
Well, thank you. So I feel that what we can do as an organization, we're already doing well in terms of developing leaders that's crashing through the glass ceiling. So how proud were we to see our soror, who is now Vice President Kamala Harris, be sworn in? I mean, that was a moment of pride. And I would like to continue to see AKA women in roles that, like, for example, this is Women's History Month. So I saw on Facebook a woman named soror named Patricia Bath. She improved the treatment for cataracts. She invented a probe for cataracts. I was like, wow, who knew that? So that was like a new name for me. And then I found out that she was from Harlem. So, my heart is there and connected to Harlem. So I think that what we can continue to do is to continue to develop great leaders. And what the UN can do in partnership with us is to continue to give us platforms, and a platform like this to let the world know what we're doing, who we are, and the impact that we can make in the world.
Thank you. Mrs. Lamar, you're the final word.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Well, again, I fall back on sisterhood and service, and to encourage everyone on this call to implement sisterhood in whatever you do, because we are a community of sisters. We're Alpha Kappa Alpha, but the larger community of women who want to make a difference, when we focus on sisterhood, when we focus on service and being of making an impact worldwide, then we can collaborate, we can support each other, we can partner So I want to encourage that we all continue to share our gifts and talents for the good of the world. And this is a worldwide audience here. And I mean, we're no longer in our own little islands, our own little countries, our own little space. It is worldwide. And this virtual pandemic has just really amplified how important that is. So it's good to be in your company. It's good to be in this neighborhood. It's good to be in the sisterhood.
Mhm. Okay, so we have some questions. Some have already been posed to me. And I think we can just go ahead with, we're not going to be able to get to everybody's question. I apologize, but I will put my number, I will put my email, not my number, sorry, in the chat. So if there are any further questions, they can be directed to me. One of the questions is for Ms. Daly. How do you keep such very different languages, very different countries, and very different contexts all under the same umbrella without losing your mind? I read it as I see it.
Because I am every woman, as Whitney Houston says. Well, one of the things when I was asked to be the international regional director, knowing that there were chapters in different time zones, I understood right then and there that 8 o'clock in the morning for one person might be 1 a.m. for me. And it's not an everyday thing. So I tell my members, just call if you have to call. Sometimes they will say, they'll text and say, what is a good time to call? I said, don't waste your time and text, because I'm not holding the phone in my hand. So I'm not seeing your text, but if you call, the phone will ring and I will answer. So I just tell them to call. Whatever time of day or night it is, I answer the call. And I try to give a response in 48 hours. That's my time limit. That's the time limit I've put on myself. You will get a response from me within 48 hours or less. So it's not as bad as one may think if you're somewhat organized. I'm not the world's most organized person, but I am somewhat organized. And I am not a heavy sleeper. And so I hear the phone ring, I answer, I speak, and I don't have a problem sleeping. So if you call me and I'm sleeping, I will speak with you in my sleep. And so I tell them, I said, if I speak with you and it is something that I'm to get back to you immediately and I don't, call me again, because it means I spoke with you in my sleep. So I don't have a problem going back to sleep if I'm awakened in the middle of my sleep. It's a blessing. So the position fits me well. And I understand my role, and I try to live up to the expectations of my members, if that answers the question. So I haven't lost my mind yet.
I see Ajwa Gifa has a question. Ajwa is a member of our anti-racism committee for NGO-CSW.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, proud member. I just wanted to ask about establishing a chapter in Ghana, actually. I've already built 2 schools in Ghana. And I want to say thank you to Theta Iota Omega for their assistance in providing the young ladies of Ghana with the necessary materials that they need for feminine products, right? They did that for me last year, and it was a collaboration. And I want to know how we can collaborate more with folks who've already established themselves in these other countries. And that's for Joy.
Oh, that's a great question, and you warm my heart. Now, in order to establish a chapter in Ghana, you need at least, 15 members, at least 15 members in that neck of the woods. And I am, I'm a public, I call myself a public servant now, so I don't have a problem giving you my number over this call. So I'm going to tell you my number. If you call me, I'll be happy to speak with you. It is 498-2144. Please call me 914-498-2144. Please call me and I'll be more than happy to work with you with that.
Thank you.
Because we have an interest group in Lagos, Nigeria right now.
Mhm.
And I just had another group approved in Eleuthera, the Bahamas.
Oh,
So
wow.
who knows, if we can make it happen, we might have one in Ghana.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I see there, oh, there are a lot of questions, and I'm going to make somebody unhappy, but I'm going to go with Bianca Cooper, and then I'm going to close. I apologize. We only have 5 minutes left. So Bianca, the floor is yours. You're on mute if you're there at all. Okay, I guess Bianca stepped away. So I will ask this next question, which is, why do we at the UN not know about these programs? This is in a different language, so I'm trying to translate it. Do not know about these programs. I had no idea this organization existed, and I'm sure there are other organizations like it. What can we do better to make ourselves available to you for partnering in different countries with similar initiatives? So that is a question for all of the presenters, whoever wants to take that one on. Seems that we're working in two different silos. Basically, I think I'll shorten the question is, the UN, the person that sent me this question is saying, why do we not know about organizations like this? This is really incredible work, and there's some opportunities for where we have overlapping goals. Why do we not know about this? And now that we do, how do we actually start to move the needle so that we can know what each other is doing, if not necessarily partner? She is surprised that this is 113 years old, and until I told her, she had no idea about it. And a lot of the initiatives that she's working on are either similar or exactly the same with her organization. Her organization is based in Ecuador.
Since time is of the essence, I'm going to jump in and say this. You need your pen and paper. Our executive director is Cynthia D. Howell. Our head office is in Chicago, Illinois. So if you were to send an email to D.
Sorry, Joy, why don't we give them the website address?
Mhm.
Because this is a large forum.
Yeah.
To give the website address.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
put it in the chat, because we have altogether between YouTube and this 347 people. So
And the website does have locations of the Alpha Kappa Alpha chapter, so they can reach out and when they look at the website to see what's in their local area.
I'm thinking of the national body. So either way, that's good. Because as the executive director, if they reach out to her, she could hone in on what they're doing and bring them to the international president much faster. So either way, Trish, you can point them in that direction.
All right. I think we literally have 2 minutes, so I'm going to close. I would like to thank Ms. Carol R. Dixon, Ms. Joy Lane Daly, Mrs. Mary Bentley Lamar, and my chapter president, Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Ms. Michelle Hardy. Thank you for taking the time. And like I said, having the, being gracious enough to take this journey with me, because this is a little bit unusual. This is not what we normally do. But we are now learning that it's time. And I think with Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, there was a lot of interest in the organization, and all of a sudden everyone said, oh wow, all of this is going on. And so I hope this is the beginning of many discussions that bear fruit. Awareness is great, but awareness and 5 cents equals 5 cents. But something that actually bears fruit down the road to amplify the work of both the United Nations, NGO-CSW, and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'd like to thank all of you that came to listen to us, and on YouTube as well. And if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at NGOCSW. I will put my email in the chat, but I will follow up with everybody that took the time to register. Thank you all so much. And we really, really appreciate you spending the last hour and a half with us. And we look forward to many more like it. Thank you and have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, and night. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.